Welcome to the Canvas Instructor Training. My name is Birai. I am a trainer here at Canvas Instructor. For many of you, I hear that this is your first exposure to Canvas Instructor Training. So I just wanted to preface this session by saying we're going to cover a lot of information. It's going to feel like you're drinking water from a fire hose, but don't worry, you will get a copy of this training. So you can watch it later. I'll also send you a lot of different follow-up resources so that you have something to kind of guide you. So at this point, the best approach to this training would just be to kind of sit back and sort of absorb everything and kind of get an overview of what Canvas can do. And if you have any specific questions, by all means, ask them in the chat and unmute yourself and ask them in the go ahead and ask me directly. All right, that said, let us go ahead and get started. 2 seconds here. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start from the very beginning. When you first log into Canvas, you will see a dashboard that looks something similar to this. So all of your information would be up here at the banner at the top. You have your list of courses, your list of assignments, your access to your grades, your counter. This is all global dashboard. So you're actually going to see all of your courses, all of your assignments, all of your grades. You have Help Corner over here that has your profile information, your view settings, and your inbox, your messaging system for Canvas. In the middle, you'll have your recent activity, so any announcements that have been made in different courses, any notifications that have come through. For example, a student submitted an assignment or a new grade change has occurred or something like that will be all in here. And then you have your to-do list over here of assignments that need to be graded. If you're a student, your to-do list would look a little bit different. It would tell you which assignments need submissions. So I'm going to briefly go over the overview just so you can get your bearings and get a framework start on how you can access your courses. But I think for the purposes of time, I'm going to send you a link to a video that goes into this overview, this dashboard, in more detail. It's only a 3 to 4 minute video, so it'll help you kind of get acquainted. So that we're actually spending more time in the session today in terms of building your Canvas course. So I think that'd be a little more valuable. But just so you know, and you can access your courses from your global dashboard. All courses you're enrolled in will be listed here. And so if you ever need to kind of consolidate this list or customize this list, you can do so by clicking the Customize and owning the course that you know you're going to access regularly that semester or that term or the 8-week session or 15-week session. So just that will help you kind of keep things a little bit cleaner. And then also, if you ever need to view all of your courses, you can always do so by clicking View All Courses here at the bottom. Again, under assignments, anytime you have an assignment that you want to grade, you can click directly to the assignment. So it'll have the name of the assignment and the course that assignment belongs to. The assignment, again, is just a quick shortcut to getting to the assignments. It doesn't mean you can't get to them any other way. You can always go into the course and go directly to the assignments tab from there. It's a shortcut. It'll jump you right to the assignment, and you can go and start grading from there. Here you have grades. The grades will actually, if you click on them, will give you 2 things. It'll give you a list of grades of the courses you're taking. So as an instructor, this is as a student, this is what they see. And as an instructor, you would see the courses you're teaching. We did get a question from Jim. Are the assignments showing up on a week-to-week basis? That's a great question. The assignments are showing up as students submit them. From your user dashboard, these buttons are actually coming in as users submit them, by week to week, not by deadlines. So in essence, the idea is once an assignment is submitted, then it has a to-do item to grade it. Now, it doesn't mean you have to grade it immediately, but that's how they show up here on the right-hand side, and that's how they show up here as well. And hopefully that answers your question, Jim. And as we click on grades, again, you'll see the grades of the courses you're taking and the course that you're teaching. If you click on any of the courses that you're taking, it will actually go to a grade summary. So pretend you're a student and you're looking at the course you're taking. If you, the student, click on a course that you're taking, you would see what's called a grade summary. In summary, it takes you right to that course, and it'll tell you all of the different assignments. If this were all the assignments in this course, well, I'm in this practice course here showing you student point of view. So all my assignments would be listed here. I could click on any of them and actually go directly to the assignment. If I do. Also, the other thing that you would see is the due date here for the assignment. There's no due dates for this particular assignment, but a score for that assignment if the instructor had graded it, the details of how many points it was related, and then over here under details you would see maybe any comments that the instructor made for that assignment, the feedback. If this instructor used a rubric, I could click on the rubric and see sort of rubric details. And then if there's a grading distribution, so I can see as a student where I range in terms of where I fell in the student grades, on the high end or the low end or things like that. So one thing a student can do from this assignment tab, from this grade tab, is they can do what's called a what if score. So if I wanted to, one of the common questions we get as instructors is, what do I need to get next 2 quizzes in order to pass this test, pass this class, for example. So by clicking on a particular assignment, they can simply just put in sort of mock scores and see kind of how that impacts their total at the bottom. So if they scroll down, they can see kind of how those scores potentially impact them. So this is a good idea for students to just kind of gauge how they're doing in the class and what they need to get done in order to pass your class. Student overview, grade overview would look like. If you actually clicked on one of the courses you're teaching, you would see that your grade book, essentially. What would happen is you would jump right into your particular grade book, and you would see sort of your grade. We'll move to the grade book later, towards the middle of the session. I think we have feedback going on. Give me 2 seconds.
I wasn't on that night. We changed the way we did it because we stayed the way we put forward.
Okay. So give me 1 second here.
And I did train them. I took half the training at the people. 2.
So we must have 2.
Must have.
Continue on. I'm going to go and show you kind of where we are in the calendar. Sorry, I'm getting some feedback. Give me 1 second.
You're fine. Sorry.
Hello.
I've seen you out, but someone told me that you're a runner. I'm doing it right there. It's about pop. Do you want to join us? Next year. This year, it's the next one. We have a 6 of us, and I have somebody that might not do it, so I need somebody that I can go to. And they're, yeah, that's fine, that's great.
But I'm not like, so like 3 times a week, 6 miles, like.
Okay. I've done it for 2 years, and I was 40% heavier the first time I started.
Oh, really?
Okay. We all run 10 to 10:30. The other band, there's 2 bands. The other band, they're like crazy marathon runners, and they know we're not. So good for fun. So.
Yeah, I'm like, you can kind of go for like 6 or 7 miles, like.
Yeah. He's our fastest runner, and you're faster than him.
Oh. Yeah. Up to it. Just run like 2 sprints.
Really?
Yeah.
So, that's looking forward to what you wanted to hear.
Yeah,
I don't really remember. But.
A lot of training.
you know, just from talking to them, I don't think they really know what's going on either. Is it an introvert or something? Is there a really
I'm trying to figure out where the source of the feedback is, and I really do apologize for this. Give me 1 more second. This won't affect your training at all. Give me 2 more seconds. I do apologize for the inconvenience.
Yeah, no problem. Me too.
Is Beth available? Beth, can you hear me? And I do apologize for the pause. So we shouldn't have any more feedback, but we will continue on. So, for this panel, one thing that I wanted to show you here before we move on is the calendar function. The calendar function is sort of your first step into designing your course. So when you want to first, a lot of instructors like to kind of look at the calendar and start setting certain dates and times for their assignments, and so this is a good place to start. Now in Canvas, you can create your assignments from multiple locations, but this is one of those places. So every course has a calendar, and every user has a calendar as well. So you can see over here, I have a user calendar that's dedicated to me, and I can put in my own assignments and my own events and dates that are in there. Put in dates for the different course that I'm teaching. So to basically add any content to an assignment calendar is click on that particular date, and you have the option to add an event or add an assignment. An event, for example, we might want to put first day of class, or day to drop the course for a refund, or lab work, or field trip, or something like that. You could put it in there. Put the day event and to and from if it's a multi-day event, and then you option to choose which calendar then add this event to. So I'm going to add it to my course calendar. So add it there and click submit. And this not only impacts the calendar for the course, but it also show up on the course syllabus as well. So building your syllabus, it coincides with the events on your calendar too. Always move this to a different date or time if I wanted to, or extend it to a multiple day. If I want to add an assignment, it's the same process. I just click on the day that I want to add the assignment to. Click on assignment, and then just type in the name of the assignment. Okay. And then, as you notice here under the calendar, I don't have my own calendar to choose from. Because I'm creating an assignment, it's actually creating a column in the gradebook. And so gradebooks are associated with courses. They don't have one association with a user. So the only options I'll have here would be my course calendar. Under groups of what I want to assign this particular assignment, groups like assignment categories. So if you have essays and you have discussions and you have other types of sort of ways of categorizing or grouping assignments, you could do that here. By default, since we're creating a course from scratch, you don't have the options of different groups because you haven't created them. By default, all assignments are under the assignment group. And then you click submit, and then all of a sudden you have a sort of your assignment shell. So there's no prompts or anything here yet. We can do that by either clicking on the assignment again, click it, and then there's more options, so I can actually launch the assignment tool and building my assignment from there. But for the purposes of this demonstration, let's just kind of put an assignment shell, and then we'll kind of build it in the back end when we actually jump into the course. With the calendar, you can pull the calendar feed. From calendar feed, you can put this anywhere. You can put it in your Google Calendar, your Outlook calendar, anywhere you'd like to view your Canvas information. Unfortunately, it's a one-way feed, so you can't necessarily post those other calendars into Canvas. You have to be in Canvas posting and changing and making updates through this interface before they show up elsewhere. This could be advantageous as if you want to print out your calendar or, do a list view, weekly view, things like that. That'll be helpful if you have it external. Otherwise, the calendar function, from this point of view, gives you a quick overview of what's happening in your course. And anytime you change any of these events or dates, they will automatically be synced with your course, so your course schedule and your syllabus will also be updated. So once again, here are all the ways you can access your courses, your assignments, your grades and gradebook, and your calendar. Your recent activity of what's happening is included here. Your to-do list will launch the speed grader so you can start grading any of the assignments that students are submitting. And you've got your help corner where you have your user ID, your account information, your profile, and your messaging system. Once again, I will go ahead and send you a video that goes over this overview a little bit more detail. But I think for the purposes of time and because we'll have a lot of great information here, I'm just going to jump right into the course and tell you kind of how you would potentially start designing your course. Do you have any questions so far? And you can post them in the chat. If you're good, I'll just continue. Okay, so once you get into your course and you've been assigned a course in the course that you're teaching, you will probably see something that looks similar to this. You have all of your course-related functions here on the left-hand side in your course navigation menu. You have recent activity dashboard here that's course-specific. Remember, the one at the user dashboard is sort of overall for all the courses that you're participating in, either as an instructor or a student. But here it's more course-specific. Have, once again, your to-do list items and assignments and items that are coming up. Now, the first question that typically asked as an instructor is you probably have content, syllabus, instructions, presentations, lectures, videos, some material, and the first thing you want to do is at least import some of that course material into your course before you start kind of organizing everything. So let's talk about how to import and build course content, and then we'll go into kind of creating interactive activities, and then we'll go into organizing all that great stuff into something that looks sort of like the project that you want, the experience that you want to give your students, and then we'll go into the gradebook and speed grid, how all that end of it works. So the question that I got from Paula is, will we be required to build a syllabus and assignments for each course, each session? As far as building the syllabus, there are a couple of ways. That's a great question, Paula. There's a couple of ways you can build the syllabus. You can leverage the syllabus tool here on the left-hand side, and by clicking on the syllabus tool, essentially what you'll see is an area here, if you add a syllabus description here on the right, an area here to kind of build your syllabus, and you can do a couple things. You can put it out right here, cut and paste from an original syllabus you have. You can link it to the syllabus file that you've uploaded, or you can just, as you can see here, once you have your syllabus information, all of your assignments will kind of line up in the syllabus. Everyone in the session will see this, and if you have multiple sessions, for example, you're teaching an 8-week course and then you're teaching a 15 or second 8-week course or something like that, you can course copy, and all that stuff will migrate from one course to another, so you don't have to rebuild everything all together. That's pretty much how you can build the syllabus. If you decide not to use the syllabus tool, that's perfectly fine too. I'll show you in a bit how you can add your syllabus files to the particular to your course so that you can link to it for students to see. So the question is, how can we course copy from a previous session to a current session? That's, again, a perfect segue, Paula, for what we're going to talk about, is how to get content into your course. There are 3 ways to get content into your course. The first one, in their settings here on the left-hand side, a lot of information, a lot of content, and you want to bulk import everything into your course. So once you go to course settings, on the right-hand side, you have something called import content into this course. Click on import content. You have a bunch of options here. So you can copy a previous Canvas course. So Paula, that answers your question, right? So click on copy Canvas course. So if you taught a particular course session, you would find that course here under your list of courses, and then you would decide whether you want to pick which sections or which parts of that course you want to migrate over. So if you click the select migration content, it will actually tell you, okay, here's all of the resources in that course. Which part do you want me to copy? And then you can also adjust events and due dates based on the previous course. So if your first 8 weeks you had assignments due on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, then when you copy, you get the option to adjust based on what your current 8 weeks look like. So that's one option, is to copy a Canvas course. Another option is to copy an existing LMS, perhaps maybe a previous Canvas LMS from a different instance, maybe not your school's Canvas, but like Canvas Free for Teachers. Maybe you worked at an institution that used Canvas before. You can actually import one of those packages, or if you used any other management system previously to Canvas, you can export that content and put it into Canvas as well. You can import and unzip zip files and folders. So for example, let's say you have on your desktop a folder for your class with all of the great content kind of organized in subfolders. You can zip that folder up, bring it into Canvas, and Canvas will unzip it for you and organize it in a way that retains your structure that you've already created. And then the last one is if you have sort of questions and question banks from either a textbook company or third-party company that provides you or you've created previously, you can zip and import those questions and quizzes, specific file called a QTI zip file, which I believe software like Response can help in creating those packages for you. So essentially, you're actually creating a lot of options here in how you want to import content into your course. So that's probably the first place I would definitely recommend starting. A lot of content, bring into the course, and you can kind of organize and build your course from there. The place you can build content is under this button up here called the Files tab. If you click on Files, then you can see that similar to sort of a desktop or a folder, you have a lot of folder structure here that you can create. Now, you probably won't have any folders when you first start, but you can add a folder simply by clicking Add Folder. Maybe you have some readings that you're going to put in there. Maybe you have some lecture notes you're going to share with the class, things like that. So you can just simply add the folder and just put it in there. If you created a folder, you can rename it, delete it if you'd like. Same with files, just click Add Files, and maybe you want to just sort of add a specific file that you want into the course. There's another way you can do this as well. Once you file, you can simply click and drag and decide kind of where you want that file to reside. If you had done a mass upload with all of your files, your file structure and subfolders and things like that would already be included here in the file section of your course. If you have a desktop here that has your folder on it, it's a simple matter of just clicking and dragging. For example, if I want to just drag all the files and folders this way, I can do that as well if you prefer to do of a click drag type of phase. So once I've created my file structure and once I've imported all of my content, there's one more option that you have here if you'd like to take it. And you can lock and unlock specific files and folders. So I lock particularly this file if I wanted to. When you lock a file or folder, you have two options. You can lock it until you manually unlock it, or you can unlock it until within certain dates if you want students to have access to it during a certain period. Or you can just click Let Students Download or View the File only if I link to it somewhere in my course. You don't want students to come in, click files, and access all of your files, but you do want them to access some of the content when you link to it somewhere in your course, and that's also an option here. So that's just for the sake of demonstration. We're going to lock, let's say, my course documents, and because I don't want students to go in there, and maybe a couple of other sort of files here. So I'll just lock those. So again, at the very end of the day, when a student comes into your course and clicks on files, they won't be able to see any of these files here. They will see these folders, but they won't be able to access this document folder because it will be locked. You, as an instructor, have an option to completely hide this button on the hand side completely. So if you have a button, then students won't have access to any of these. So regardless of whether you lock them or not, you may want to, depending on kind of what you want to organize your course. Okay, so we talked about importing content through the settings, import content using files, and then also importing content or creating content using pages. So that's the third way you can create content in your course. So click on Pages. Now, essentially, unlike files and import tool, it's stuff that you create within your course. So the other two are ways to import stuff externally. You've already created it already. Pages is kind of like wiki pages. We're creating content internally within your course. Everest comes with a page called the front page. So you can't necessarily delete or edit any of this content. You can edit on the page, but by default, every course has to have one page, and that's called the front page. But to create a new page, you just click on here called Create New Page, and then you can name that page anything you want. Okay, so we'll create a brand new page. When you create any page or any content in the course, whether it's an assignment, a discussion board, a quiz question, anything that you create in the course, you will always be presented with something that looks like this, a rich content editor. A rich content editor, you can do whatever you want. You can make these pages as dynamic, as image, full images, full of videos, as much as you want to put in here. It's your page, and every page you can make it dynamic like this. So, for example, I might want to say something like, welcome to lesson 1, and I can link to different things. For example, I can link to the pages in the course. So perhaps I wrote something like, lesson 1, please do the following. I can create, let's say, read the overview, and link to a page, read the syllabus. So for example, in my files, if I have already uploaded my syllabus, I can just say click read the syllabus, and I'm linking to a file. So not only am I linking to a different page, but I'm linking to a file. I can link to images that I've uploaded in my course if I wanted to. So I can just click on link image. So just click on that. So again, I can click anywhere in the course that I'd like to. So for example, if I've created assignments, I can say, okay, complete this assignment, complete, because I already created these. So one of the things that's really advantageous in a page is not only can you create dynamic content by adding pictures and videos and things like that, but you can also navigate throughout your course or link to specific areas and announcements and quizzes and discussions and things have already been created. If you want to link to a page that doesn't exist yet, for example, lesson 1, lesson 1.2, that type of stuff, you actually say, okay, I haven't created the page yet, but I can actually create a new page. So if I want to create, if I scroll link to new page, I do that, and just label it 1.2, and I can insert the link. So currently there's nothing on this page, just like we're building a page here, but I can build pages from this interface as well. I could go to different areas in my course. So I want to link to all the discussions, for example. Under here, under core navigation, I can actually link to the discussion index, so to view all of the discussions. So there's flexibility that you have here. On the upper part of the rich content editor, you have your WYSIWYG editor, so you can put in bold and italics and hyperlinks and all that great stuff. You can put tables and indents and things, but you can also add images here from this particular interface as well. Add an image from this interface or what an image from the images you've already uploaded, it's the same thing. So I'm going to click on this image update. So I'm going to click image, and I can embed an image 3 different ways. I can embed an image if I know the URL. I can embed an image from my course files, if where the images are, or I add an image from Flickr. So if I add an image from Flickr, I can do that as well. And simply by adding an image, you just click on the image you want, click update, and then once the image is in there, you can do what you want in terms of resizing it and things like that, just kind of move it out. This image, if you notice, if I click on it, automatically has a hyperlink associated with it up here. That means it's already attributed, so you don't have to put any photo credits or attribute to the original source. It automatically does that when you add an image from Flickr. Well, I can do that here as well. If you see on the right-hand side, I can add images from Flickr. If I don't have an image and I want to upload one, I can upload it from here directly. Same thing with files. Let's say I forgot to upload a file. I can upload a new file directly and then add it to my page if I wanted to. So you don't necessarily always have to go back to the Files tab and upload new files. Same with video. You can very easily, so for example, this is a fitness class, so if we're going to do an ab workout, for instance, you can just find the video that you want to pick, copy the URL link, come back to your page, and then just type in video link. Give me 1 second, let me regret. Just go ahead and the video link. As soon as you press return, Cancel automatically recognizes the YouTube and it automatically link it and embed it. So you don't have to grab the embed code and put it all in there. Canvas will automatically do that for you. And then once you've kind of added content into your course page, then you've kind of a sample page or sample content, and you can kind of modify and update from there. So you can always edit this page. You can click Edit Page. A couple options here on this page. There is a HTML view of the page here, so if you are going to be playing with HTML content or pasting some HTML code and things like that, know that you can do that from your HTML view. You can hide this page from students like you could hide so when you click to this page, students won't be able to see it. They'll be able to access this page if you want them to. And then you've got your edit the page. By default, under core settings, only teachers are able to edit page. You can change this again at the core level by going to settings and changing some of those customizations. But typically, by default, only teachers can edit a page, but you can have teachers and students edit a page, and you can open this course level setting, or have anyone in the course edit the page. And anyone, that basically means anyone who doesn't have a role of a teacher or a student. Notify users that the content has changed so long as the course is live and students are enrolled. Otherwise, whether you click notify or not, it doesn't matter. If your course is not live, obviously no one will be notified. Anyway, so this is sort of your sample page, and then once you click Save Changes, you can always revert back to previous page histories and things like that. So if you click on page history, you'll know that I've made 3 different changes. I can always revert back to this particular change and go from there. So that's the way you can kind of assess the history of the page. One last thing I wanted to show you is you can also add media to your page by this button here called the Media button, Media Recorder Uploader. Click on the Media button. It will automatically ask me if I want to record directly from my webcam. So if I click allow, then it will connect to my webcam, and I can create like a welcome message, for example. Maybe I want to say, welcome message. And then record directly from the interface. And then what will happen is it will automatically upload and embed that video right on my page. If I have media that I want to upload, I can also upload it through the media file, media content uploader here too. So ask me when I click upload media if I want to upload or an audio, and then go from there. Now, one thing to notice here, one thing that's important to note, if I decide to use this button, the media uploader, it doesn't count towards your course quota. Now, you might have some media files that you want to include in your file side. Any file that comes into your files, through your files, does count towards your course quota. Any files that you, or any media that you upload through the media button here does not to your course quota. Just so much there. I think that pretty much covers a lot of the different things you can do from your page. Once you're done with creating pages, you can click Save Pages. Again, you can create pages right here along. Does anybody have questions on how to create pages or add content to pages? Okay, so you've learned 3 different ways to kind of build your course. You have you know how to kind of bring content in from the outside in bulk. You bring in files from the file tab, and then you know how to create content pages and link to different files and images and things like that, and have them be very rich in media through the Pages tab. Content. The next part that is always nice to go into is how you build activities in Canvas. So there's a lot of different activities that Canvas has. It has quizzes, discussions, there's collaborations, there's conferences, there's assignments. Assignments are basically anything that doesn't fall under discussions or quiz in terms of format. So a lot of ways you can engage your students and have them participate in the course. So we'll go through all of these individual tools, talk about the different features of each one, and then kind of continue answering questions as they come up. And for grading purposes, if there's one thing you take away from this particular training session, it's this. All right, anything that's graded or not graded in terms of freeform. So you've got quiz, which are your surveys and your assessments and your exams, whatever you want to call them, your assessments. So to them as quizzes. So that quizzes, graded and ungraded. You have discussions, they can be graded and ungraded. Your assignments, which are your free-form sort of things that don't fall under the discussion format or the quiz format, and can also be graded or ungraded. Anything graded will automatically have a gradebook column. So your one takeaway, I guess I would say, is under the Assignments tab, sees assignments as anything that's graded, and also an assignment that's also ungraded. So for example, under assignments, you will see graded discussions, quizzes, assignments, those free-form assignments, and ungraded assignments. So it kind of gets a little confusing. Anything that's ungraded in terms of discussions or quizzes will always remain under the Discussions and Quizzes tab. So just a remembering tip, just anything that's graded will be under assignments plus assignment, free-form assignment that's ungraded. That's what we'll call assignments. So here we have a bunch of assignments that we've pre-created. To create an assignment, remember the first place that I showed you is you can do it through the Calendar tab. The second place that you can create assignment is just by this button right here called Add Assignment. So just click Assignment. You can get, don't know what the due date is yet, but you can kind of make one up. Maybe give it a point value if you want. And determine, is this a grade assignment, ungraded assignment, a discussion, or a quiz? Okay, so it'll be just a graded assignment, and we'll call this, and we'll call it update. So instructors prefer, once they create their courses, to just come directly to the assignment tab and just start building their assignments. Assignment 1, assignment 2, that type of stuff. So we'll just call this number 1, update, another assignment, number 2, things, and they just sort of build their assignments that way. And this would be a quick way, once again, to create assignment shells. And you can go into the assignment and build the prompts, create settings and the options and the specifics of the assignment later. So give them a quick review of which assignments they can quickly build from this interface. One advantage here, once you've created all of your assignments, you can group them into things and categories that make sense to you. So for example, I have an assignment group called case studies. So I have a bunch of different case studies. I have an assignment group called quizzes. For instance, I have another one called lab work. You can create these different things, and then you can just kind of drag and drop the different assignments that you've done, different assignment types, and just kind of put them in here in a way that makes sense to you. So when you organize these different assignments, just keep in mind that the students don't see this type of organization. This organization is only seen kind of from your point of view as an instructor, as a way to help organize your course assignments. What will happen, though, from the student's perspective, is they'll see these they will see this organization in the grade book. So when they're looking at their grades, they'll see assignment groups kind of listed in order. So when actually moving these assignment groups up and down, you're actually kind of impacting the grade book as well. But when a student comes in here and clicks on assignments, they don't see these groups at all. Which assignments are coming up, which assignments have passed due, and which assignments don't have a due date at all. So just keep that in mind. This is for your organization. So once you've organized the assignments into assignment groups, here's where the fun begins. So you can actually click on weight the final grade based on assignment groups and make these different groups based on assignments. So maybe lab work is going to be worth 10% of the grade, 20%, we'll make 20% will be tests and quizzes, and then the regular other ones are going to be miscellaneous assignments will be 50%. And you can always change the name of things here as well. So just by clicking on this button here, you can always change the name. Another thing that you can do once you've organized your assignments into groups is you can click on you can edit the assignment group and put what the criteria is. So if you click on the assignment group, you can add a grading rule. So for example, you have these different quizzes. I want to drop the lowest one quiz or lowest 2 quizzes from the score. So you can add grading criteria. So the advantage of actually organizing your assignments into categories be to make a grade book that makes sense to you, to weight final grades if you wanted to weight grades, and then you can also add grading criteria. So those 3 different sort of advantages to assignment groups. Let's jump right into a single assignment and see what can you do with an assignment once you've created an assignment shell. So this is what we did through the interface, through the calendar. This is what we added here from the assignments tab. So let's jump into one and see what actual prompt and assignment options we have available to us. So here's the assignment create tool. I can do 2 things to this assignment. I can edit this assignment, which is what I can also add a rubric to the assignment, which is what you do. You're done kind of the assignment. Let's edit the assignment first. When you click on edit the assignment, you can change all of this. You can change the name. You can put some prompts. Notice here how the content editor comes up. Once again, you can make these assignment prompts as dynamic as you want them to be. You have all of the functions of a page here. You can give it some point values so that you have some total criteria here. You can change the due date. If you change the due date, note that it'll change the due date on the syllabus, and it'll also change the due date on the course calendar. So they're all kind of interconnected. And now you can assign it to a specific group. Maybe you want to put it under lab work, or maybe you want to create a new group entirely. You don't have to go back to the assignments button, create a new category. You can do that right from this tab as well. some advanced options here as well. So once again, what type of grading do you want this to be? It may be worth 20 points, but is percentage that's going to show up in the grade book for students? Is it going to complete or incomplete? They either do it or they don't. Are you going to assign a specific point value, or is there going to be a letter grade? If you get not graded, then none of the assignment prompts will show up. And essentially, this will be an ungraded assignment with no gradebook column. So, and if you want to create a gradebook column to it, it has to be, you have to have some grading type that allows that grade to show up in the gradebook. So with points. The second type, that option you have here is, what type of submission is this? So are you going to have it where there's not going to be required submission? Well, this is maybe something like a 10th grade or extra credit, where you're creating a gradebook column with 0 points, which is not going to be a submission really required, but you want to create a gradebook column for it. So that would be one example. Is this be something that's submitted on paper? So maybe it's a presentation, it's a class presentation, an assignment they're going to hand to you. So this is the equivalent of saying, we're not going to use Canvas to leverage it as a sort of assignment Dropbox. I still need a gradebook column, and I still need some sort of submission, so we'll know that when you click on paper that they're going to have to give you something. There's another option here called online submission. When you have an online submission, you're essentially turning the assignment into a digital Dropbox. So you want to make sure that you have to be specific as to what type of information you want, what type of submission you're allowing. So do you want to just have them cut and paste and write something directly into the assignment page, a text entry? If you click that, when they come in to submit the assignment, a student will see something that looks like this, and then go in and type whatever they need to. They can cut and paste their assignment answer. Are you going to just allow a website URL? Maybe you want them to submit a URL from a specific magazine, article, website, blog. Allow your recording. If you click on this, basically it's the equivalent of clicking on this button right here. They're going to be prompted to record something from their webcam or microphone. They can upload something if they want to, some type of media, and you can get that. Or you can allow file upload. You can allow any or all of these, depending on kind of what the assignment is, and the student can submit or all of these. At the same time, they can submit multiple times using any of these options. If you allow file upload, then you have the ability to restrict the upload to a specific extension. Advanced features here, you can make it a group assignment if you'd like. And if you make it a group assignment, you have to have some groups available. So you have the prompt here to create a new group category or pick the ones that have already been created before. So these aren't default groups or anything. These are groups that I've created earlier. So again, if you want to make it into a group activity, say you have a project group category, and in the project group category you have 3 different groups. Each group has 5 participants. So if you want to make the project group category, that'd be prompted to create those 3 groups and put individuals in those 3 groups. A student can submit, one student from that group can submit the assignment, and it would be considered submitted for all people in that group. You have to give the group a grade or the option to assign grades to each person individually. That's some of the functionality of the group assignment. And then you have the ability to also require peer reviews if you wanted this to be a group peer review assignment or a peer review assignment. So once again, you have the ability to manually assign peer reviews or automatically assign peer reviews. If you automatically assign peer reviews, you could put how many reviewers a user will get per assignment. And then you have the ability to decide when those assignments go out. So for example, if you want peer reviews to show up 2 days later after the assignment has been due, then that's your prerogative. If you don't put any date there, it'll just assign peer reviews after the due date of the assignment. So these features, we'll talk a little bit more about groups and collaborations and things like that later. But I just wanted to let you know that assignments could be potentially group assignments if you wanted them to. And then at the bottom, you've got due dates and some deadlines that you can see here. If you have multiple sections in your course, you have the ability to set due dates for separate sections. If you have one section per course, in other words, you have one roster for each course shell, then you don't have to worry about setting separate due dates. For the most part, I think, in terms of how I understand your course are set up, you have one roster per shell. You repeat that course in a new 8-week cycle or 15-week cycle, you'll get a set of roster. You're not going to have multiple students sections in a course. So anyway, so you would assign the deadline to everyone. You can change or set the due date down to the minimal, to the detail, to a specific time if you want. And here's your availability window. If you don't put anything here, this course assignment can potentially be available anytime throughout your course. But if you want to kind of lock or access to this particular assignment, you can do so students can't access it until a particular date or until a certain date. After that date, then they no longer can submit anything. If you put a due date, does not mean that students cannot submit assignments at the date. In fact, students can submit assignments multiple times, well past the due date. Until you put an up date or an until date, then they won't be able to submit anything. But then they can submit multiple times well the due date. From the group perspective, you will be notified that assignment has been late. So it's up to you at that point whether you accept and or grade it or not. If you've created all of those different prompts, then you can go ahead and click Update Assignment, and you have your first assignment. Any questions on how to build an assignment from this page? Okay, no questions. Won't everyone speak at once now? Just kidding. All right, so we have a lot of, so we've talked about creating assignments. Let's talk a little bit about creating discussions and quizzes, and then we'll go right into creating collaborations and conferences as well. Discussions, again, pretty self-explanatory in terms of what they do. They are sort of your discussion forums. They have different topic is that you can create, and then students can participate in sort of interactive conversations. So you come to your discussions panel, and you'll see a couple of things. Notice here that I have graded discussions that are indicated by this little A+ marker here, and ungraded discussions. And remember, graded discussions, if I click on assignments, will also show up under that assignments tab. Ungraded discussions will just remain under the discussions tab. So window, there are several things as an instructor I can do. You can subscribe to a particular discussion by just clicking on the subscribe button. I can just click on subscribe or unsubscribe, and students can do this as well, so they can be really particular on what area of the course they can, follow up on. I can see here in the discussions that these ones that I've read, and these are the ones that are total. So this discussion has 2 replies, and I've read only one of the 2. And I've got the gear symbol here. So if I click on gear symbol, I can definitely close the discussion for comments, delete the discussion, and pin the discussion as well if I wanted to. And really, that just means I can and I could do this by dragging too. I can feature the discussion, which is pin the discussion by dragging it. I can close discussion by closing it off as well. I don't necessarily have to use the pin, the gear icon here. So thank you, Dr. Stephen Brownson, for a great comment and gave me a little bit of a boost there. I appreciate your feedback. Paula asks, you showed the activity list earlier. Can we download students' assignments all at once for each week assignment? The answer is yes, Paula. You can do that several ways. You download, if you have students that are uploading assignments, 2 different ways. You can actually go to the Assignments tab. Assignments tab, you'll see all of your assignments, of course. So actually go into, let's say you go into an assignment that I've already created. I can actually go into the assignments, then download submissions. That's one way I can do it. So by going directly to the assignments itself. Another way I can download the assignments is actually through the grade book. So if I want to go into the grade book, find assignment. So if I can see here, find the Robert assignment, and actually download submissions that way from the grade book. So I can do it from the front end or the back end, Paula. I'm glad you're completely excited about that. Yay, exactly. Makes often grading so much easier, yes? All right, going back to discussion, good questions. And again, just keep them coming. You don't feel like you're interrupting me at all. I will try to answer as much as I can. This, again, is something I wonder is customized and works for you. These different options. All right, so we're back at the discussion panel. Let's create a new discussion. Now, you won't see this button called Add New Discussion. Only you can. You can override some of those settings at the course settings level, but for now, by default, students aren't able to create new discussions, but you as the instructor can. So let's create a new discussion by creating that, clicking on that button, and we'll call it the and then once again, you can title your discussion, you can create your discussion prompts, and you can see here you've got the content editor. You can make this as dynamic as you want. You can attach files to a discussion if you want to. Discussions have a little bit of a different option here. You can allow threaded discussion or keep it linear in terms of the posts. You can require users to post before seeing the other replies. This would be a good idea if you're going to do graded discussions. You can have a podcast feed, or you make this a graded discussion. Now, as soon as you make it a graded discussion, look what happens. All prompts that we just went over to create an assignment show up here. So I'll review this. I won't go over this again, but essentially this becomes quote-unquote an assignment. You can go through the prompts and figure out kind of how many points you want, what type of grading you want to have, grading type, and what falls into. You have the ability to make it a group assignment, and you can also require peer reviews in the discussion board. Once you've got your start and end dates here, if you have availability from and until from the in the discussions, put an until date. Essentially, this is the equivalent of saying when do you want this discussion to be closed for comments. If you put an until date, that's okay. You can just drag the discussion down below and make it close it for comments manually through the discussions tab. So from the discussions tab, I go ahead and down. Okay, so that's kind of how you would create those discussions. Any questions on how you create discussions? For asks, can it still be seen after an until date? When you close for comments, absolutely. So as you can see, I can still click on it, and students can still click on it, but they just won't get a button called reply. So for example, if I click on the most interactive discussion ever, you have this button here that says reply. If I go back and go to one that's already closed, I can absolutely click it, but I notice I don't see the reply button because this topic is essentially closed for comments. I still read everything if other people have posted stuff. I just can't reply. Does that answer your question, Jennifer? Okay. Can you choose more than one option? In terms of, I think maybe if you clarify your question, that might be helpful. Oh, absolutely. Discussion, if I click on edit, yeah, I can actually put as many options as I want here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click Save and move down to quizzes. I'm going to click on quizzes here. Like everything else, you have a list of quizzes. All of your quizzes will be here. Quizzes have a grade associated with it are called assignment quizzes. Quizzes do not have a grade associated. It's like an ungraded quiz will be called practice quizzes and therefore won't have a gradebook column. Now, you can also have graded and ungraded surveys. So whether you create a quiz or survey or exam or whatever you want to call it, all under the quiz tab. So I'm going to go quickly over the quizzes, just so you get an idea of how to create them. But I won't belabor it too much because I imagine we still get to collaborations and conferences as well. So to create a new quiz, just click on the button Create New Quiz. And once again, you are presented with a couple of options. So we'll call this Hardest Quiz Ever. It's not that hard. So here, under the settings, I can put in my quiz instructions and my prompts. Once again, I can see the content editor. I can make this a graded quiz or a graded survey. Both of these will have a gradebook column. A practice quiz or a practice survey or ungraded survey. The main difference between a quiz and a survey is that surveys don't have right or wrong answers, and surveys can be set to taken anonymously. Whereas quizzes have right and wrong answers, and you can't make them anonymous. So again, you have the ability to decide what quiz, what assignment group that belongs to. So these options, let's go in and create questions. There are 3 quick ways to create questions in Canvas. Question from scratch by clicking new questions. So there you are, create a question from scratch. And you have all of these different types of question formats that you can choose from. Got the rich content editor here. And you have all of your multiple choice answers if you're going to do multiple choice. If you want any of your answers to be in rich content format, click on this button here. You will pull up the rich content editor as well. So you can have videos, images, things like that in your answers if you wanted to. You have also the HTML view here if you want to put HTML code in your question or in your answer as well. You have the point value that you can give to a particular question. You can give this 10 points. And then pick the correct answer by clicking on the arrow. And that will point out to you which one's the correct answer. And you have ability to give feedback to the correct answer only, to the wrong answer, or just general feedback if you want to give a question there. So then you just click Update Question, and that's how you create a question from scratch through the interface. There's a couple of other ways you can create questions. You can questions from a question bank. Now, to create a question bank, this is again, and click Manage Question Banks. So you can create as many question banks as you want from scratch, or you've done a question and quiz upload through the course import tool, and you've uploaded those questions that way, then you'll see the question banks appear here automatically. Notice this question bank called Unfiled Questions. When you're creating any quiz question from scratch through the quiz interface, by default, Canvas will put them in an unfiled question bank. I already pre-uploaded some quiz question banks here. I'm going to go ahead and find a question from an existing question bank. So I'll put this from a Chapter 1 question bank. I'll select the one that I want to add here. Add the question. So now what I've actually done is I've cut and pasted the question in the question bank. The original question will always remain intact in the question bank, but I come in here and I can actually edit some of these different questions if I wanted to. So I can add additional text and not changing the original question at all. I can change the answer, I can give additional feedback, and then update the question if I wanted to. So what I've actually done is created a version of that question. I haven't changed anything in the original. So that might be a good, valuable resource to have if you want to do practice tests. You can pull questions from the original question bank, but then kind of modify the text a little bit to not make it exactly the same. And then the last way you can add questions to a quiz or an assessment is by clicking on a new question group. So for example, what if I want to pull 10 questions from, at one point each, from the Chapter 2 question bank? So I just find my Chapter 2, click Select Bank, create group. So now I've created one question from scratch, cut it to 2 from a question bank that I wanted to use, and then at Canvas to pick 10 questions randomly from the question bank. Now, if I go into this question bank and change the text of any of these questions, potentially the question will pull from the original question. Okay. So that's how you would create a question. So all of a sudden I have a 22-point quiz. Does anybody have questions on how? A question here from George. How do I upload a quiz into Question Bank? This as a Word document. That's a great question. Now it's a little tricky. You can't upload a question from a Word document. You have to upload it in a file format called QTI zip format. So what I'll do is I will add, I'll give you a resource on how to do that, how to create those QTI files. So Canvas has to see it in a specific format. And usually with a software called, usually we'll export in a QTI file for you, a package for you, George. So I'm going to give you a resource on more information on how to do that. We have another question from Jennifer. Does it pick different questions for different students? It can. So if you want different students to have different questions, you have to create that new question group. You have to upload all of your questions into a question bank, and then doing like I did here, Jennifer, create a group and say pick X number of questions from this particular group. Then if question bank has 40 questions, potentially every student will get the same 10 questions. They'll get a random mixing of 10 from that 40. Does that make sense, Jennifer? Okay. So once you have your questions and your questions in your quiz, then go back to settings, and now you have some more options here. How do you have answers to be presented? Shuffle the answers. You can only shuffle the questions just by creating those groups in the question banks. Add time limit to your quiz, so maybe you have 60 minutes. You can allow multiple attempts and have it only keep the highest or the latest score. If you multiple attempts, if you don't put a number here, it'll be unlimited attempts. But if you want them to only have maybe 2 or 3 attempts, you can then include that here. Students see their own quiz responses. Maybe to only see it after their last attempt. So which answers are correct? A lot of times instructors will create their quiz, check this, and then once the quiz has been submitted and the due date has passed, they come back and check it. Students can come back to the quiz and see their correct answers. To restrict their quiz, requiring students to put in a password, or you restrict the quiz by filtering it by a certain IP address. This is more if you're going to have students take it at a testing center or a lab on campus, then you can put in information in here. If your campus is using Respondus lockdown browser, then this will be also an option here that will be created for you. You can restrict the quiz by Respondus lockdown browser so that students can't jump from browser to browser to find answers. You have to show one question at a time, and you can lock it if you want the students to only take the question progressively and move forward and not go back to a previous question. There's some options here in terms of questions. Once again, you can create the due date, add due date here, and then put an availability window as well if you want to, and then click submit. Any questions on how to create quizzes and add questions to quizzes? Quiz. You publish it just to make sure that students can see it. Otherwise, it becomes sort of a work in progress and only instructors can access it. So if you want students to see it and you're ready to publish the quiz, you click publish, and the quiz is officially part of your course activities, part of you can add it to different areas in your course. I wanted to show a couple of things here just in case, and then we'll move on to collaborations and conferences. Yeah, you can absolutely see the preview of the quiz. You can just click take the quiz as an instructor in your course, actually. So this is kind of what it would look like. And all of it will show up like this. Does that? Sure. If you want to preview anything in the course, regardless of whether you want to preview as a student or as an instructor, with Quiz you can preview like this as an instructor. But if you actually wanted to preview your course as a student, you would under course settings on the left-hand side, there's a button here called Student View, and you would click on Student View, and then you can actually go in as a test student and go to your files and see that, you know, some of the files are hidden and locked. Your quizzes, and into one of your quizzes and take the quiz from a student perspective. Look as a student, you can see that what the information, how many attempts are allowed, what the time limit is, and some of the instructions, and take the quiz and stuff like that. You always have a particular option there. Barbara asks the question, can students use this feature to create a survey? Unfortunately not, Barbara. Students can't create surveys. It is sort of a tool that has to be enabled, and the student cannot create quizzes. So now that we've created quizzes and we've modified them, there's one more thing about the quiz I wanted to show you. Go into the quiz. There's a button here called Moderate this quiz. If you moderate this quiz, abilities to override quiz, things like extensions and things like that. For example, a student comes in and says, she had a family emergency, you have to extend the deadline for that student to take the quiz. Or a student with special needs or disability and they need double time to take the quiz. So you can do certain overrides and extensions. Simply going into that moderate quiz and then click on the student that you want to sort of extend additional overrides to. Click a button there, the pencil, and then you can see that everyone gets already 2 attempts, but you might want to give this person an extra attempt. Or you know that the quiz already is 60 minutes, so at every attempt you want to give them 60 more minutes, essentially doubling time they have on a quiz. Or if the quiz has already been locked and complete and is past due, you might want to just manually unlock the quiz for their next attempt and then click Save. Okay. The reason why you'd want to do it this way, specifically for specific students, is you don't want to come in to the quiz and actually edit the quiz dates, because as soon as you edit like the quiz due date and give it an extra extension and things like that, students will be notified with a notification that says, hey, this quiz has been extended or due date has changed, and then you don't want that. You want to do it specifically for that particular student. All right, so let's talk about collaborations and conferences. If you do any collaborations and conferences, you have to set up, you have to organize your course in groups and things like that first. Okay, we have a question from Bonnie. We will need to use certain browser or version in order to use Canvas, such as Google Chrome or Firefox. That's a great question. We get that question all the time, actually. And Bonnie, if you go to guides.instructor.com and click on Browsers, okay, click Search, the first that comes up is which browsers does Canvas support? And to tell you, as of August 22nd, we support these browsers and these versions. So it's important to know that your browser is up to date, because there are times where you actually go into a quiz and you may not see the button like take this quiz or something like that. In fact, I'll send you this link as well when I give you the follow-up. Would that help, Bonnie, if I send you that link so you always have it kind of available? Okay, great. Okay, so let's talk about collaborations and conferences and some of the things you can do here in your course. The first thing you want to do is under the People tab here on the left-hand side, People tab as an instructor will tell you your roster, who is in your class, what their email address or login ID, what section are they in if you have multiple sections, and what role do they have. Most of them are student, and then you'll have your teacher role here. So from here, you have your course roster, and if you want to organize your course roster into different groups, you would do that from the People tab. Over here on the right-hand side, you have this button called User Groups. Click View User Groups, and you have a couple of options here. So right now, created activity groups, and I've created study groups. But let's create one just for demonstration. It says make a new set of groups. So I'm going to call this project groups. What I'm essentially doing is I'm essentially creating a group category, and I'm calling it project groups. And I have the option of having students self-sign up if I wanted to, and require members to be in the same section if I wanted to. Make sure that they all stay in the same section. But that probably won't be an issue for you. But if you want students to self-sign up to a group, you can, or you manually put them in groups if you wanted to. And then how do you want the group to be structured? Do you want to have it split evenly into 3 groups? If you have 3 project groups, and each of those groups we're going to have 5 students each. Or do you make the groups manually? So what we'll do is we'll create 2 groups, equal groups, and project groups. And I'm going to actually, I'm not going to allow self-sign-up. I'm going to put the people in the groups myself. So I'm going to create a project category. Essentially, I've created a project group. In that project group, I have 3 projects in here, 3 groups. And I can move these people up and down to the different groups. I get them out of the group if I want to. I can move them back into a group here. So I can kind of organize the groups just by clicking and dragging. If I wanted to create another group or name them differently, I can do that. I can edit the group and say, the project group is going to work on training programs. And this project group is going to work on cardio. Their project on cardio programs. So I can actually go in and change the different names I wanted to. I can also add another group if I wanted to. Just clicking add right here. So I'm adding actually another group, project group, maybe another type of genre update. Essentially 4 groups under the project group category. A student can be part of group categories, but only one group in the group category. So a student can be part of the cardio programs group and the study group A, but they cannot be part of this training and the cardio programs group to be in one group. Okay, so that's kind of how groups are created. And again, from here, you can determine how to leverage these groups. You can use in assignments, right? We talked about when you're setting up group assignments. I can now that I have my groups created, I can go back to the assignment and assign them to a specific project group. And now I can also use them in collaborations and conferences if I wanted to. So let's check out what you can do with collaborations. Before we go there, one last thing that I wanted to point out here in groups is groups have their own space, sort of a digital environment for them to collaborate on. So once you've created a group and you've assigned a student to a group, when a student goes into Canvas, up here they'll not only see the courses, but they'll see courses and groups. And another column next to it, they'll see that says groups here, and then the group they've assigned them to. So that will give them a shortcut to the group. Basically, if they click on that group, what they see is an area that looks like this, whereas project groups tells you what course that group is in, and that space for announcements, pages, people, discussions, files, conferences, and collaborations. This is private space. You as an instructor can go in there and monitor it, of course. Essentially, anyone in the group can post announcements, anyone can update and do pages, anyone can see membership, add discussions, files, add files, create conferences, and do collaborative projects. But keep in mind, this is sort of as part of the class, but external to the grade book. Any discussions that are created here does not tie into the grade book, so you can't grade those discussions. Any collaborative assignments, any pages that they are creating, all sort of external to the grade book and external to the course, but it's still part of the course. It's really the organizational structure of the course. So that's one place. So for example, if you're creating study groups, this would be one place they can collaborate. They can put in messages, they can communicate to each other. It's a digital environment for them to collaborate in. But when they're ready to turn in the assignments, just keep in mind they have to go back to the original course and submit the assignment under the assignments tab or wherever they need to submit. All right, so next part here is called collaborations. Collaborations is a tool that allows students to collaborate using Etherpad or Google Docs. And there's a couple of, demonstrate you 2 ways that you can do that, both with Etherpad and also Google Docs. So to start a new collaboration, you just click Start New Collaboration. you have an option here. Excuse me. You have an option to choose Etherpad or Google Docs. Let's start with Etherpad first, and we'll sample collaboration assignment. Maybe we're going to discuss pros and cons of the P90X program. Whatever. And so, who do you want to collaborate with this document? Do you collaborate with a specific student? So you can just click on those students and just collaborate with them. Or, here's where groups can come in handy. Do you want to collaborate with the P90X group that you created? And whoever's in this group will be able to access this document. You do it both ways. We're added, once you've created a sample collaboration or a collaboration document, added the people you wanted to collaborate with, go ahead and click Start Collaborating. So essentially, what happens is, on the page here, when a student clicks on collaborations, will only see the collaborative projects that they belong to. Because I'm an instructor, I will see all of them. But if I was not part of the P90X group, then I would not even see this collaboration here from a perspective. Anyways, I've created a collaborative document using Etherpad. And so here's what I would see. I have my name up here, and students can change their names as well. So I can kind of who I want to be called in, and I can change the color of what my my text will be. Everyone knows that that color is associated with me. And as students come on, as students sort of pop into this document, they can also add their own contributions. We'll do pros, we'll do cons, and have students go ahead and start kind of putting in and cons and sort of creating this collaborative space here. So I can also chat with particular users if they're in the room. So I can, of course, text to what I'm writing here. I have some opportunities here to make it, like in terms of formatting. I can bold, italicize, underline, strike out, bullet point, tab, things like that. I can save this assignment. So if I wanted to, I can save this revision. Some pad options so you can see. I added authorship colors and line numbers. I can delete those if I want to. The font is normal. Some importing and exporting opportunities here. So I can export this to an HTML, plain text. I can bookmark. I can export it to Microsoft Word, PDF, or an open document. So once the collaboration has been completed, I can export this to what makes sense to me. And I look back at the different saved revisions. So right now I've been writing a lot of text. I want to save this now. Okay, now we have revision 1. And so I will go ahead and continue working. And after the next one, I want to save it again. So I have multiple revisions every time I save it. And the button here is called Time Slider. And basically what that means is I can see over the course of the first, however long this took for people to collaborate, I can kind of see what's been happening as I'm creating this document and what points of the document have been saved. Okay, people have been collaborating. At this point, it's been saved. Continue collaborating. At this point, it's been saved again. And when at any of these locations, I can choose to download the document in any formats and as a platform for me to build collaborative projects. So this is how Etherpad basically works. Any questions on Etherpad? Next type of collaboration. So this is sort of, you don't need to have an account. You don't have to do anything. It's not like Google Docs where you have to have sort of a Google Drive account or a Google account and link it to Kids. This is sort of a standalone public pad. You write together, you collaborate together, and then you download it, or you save the copy of it. All right, so the next type of collaborative effort here is so you can choose to create a Google Doc. So once again, we'll do a sample collaboration called show you kind of, again, pick whichever person you want to collaborate with or which you want to collaborate with, and then start collaborating. So what will happen, it'll launch Google and if you haven't with Canvas before, you'll be prompted to sync docs with Canvas. So prompt you want to sync this particular Google Doc account, your Google account with this course, and so you will either accept or decline it. It'd be as if you've created a Google Doc in Google. Under this Google account, right, as you can see here, under this Google account, has associated this document and put it into this Google account, essentially. And again, I can always access this Google account from this page here, or I have to be in Canvas. I can just log into Google, go to my Google Drive, and find this document and continue working directly from the Google Doc. So that's the other way you can collaborate. And like everything else in Google Docs, you have history, you can see revision history, you can see you can make comments to each other as you collaborate with the group and things like that. So again, you have the same abilities as any Google Doc would have. So that's how collaborations will work, either through ePad or through Google Docs. The only difference is with you're accessing it through collaborations, but you can also access it through Google Docs in your file. In fact, here's an interesting thought. If you delete this, it's just a collaboration if you delete an Etherpad. If you delete collaboration through Google Docs, the option of deleting it just for Canvas or also deleting it from Google Docs, because it knows it's hosting it in two separate places. If you just want to delete all of it, you could do that. So just keep that in mind. Now, only instructors are able to delete you. As students, you don't have access to delete it. Oh, Rachel, what's your question? I've unmuted you, Rachel.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great. I was just wondering, can you do the same thing with actual Word documents, like how you can share documents on Dropbox so that you could use more of the features of Word in the same format as this?
You absolutely can. You just won't be able to host it in collaborations. In the collaborations.
Okay, you just have to do it through Dropbox. Everyone would have to have Dropbox or whatever.
Yeah, and you maybe want to create a page that has explanations on how to access the Dropbox, or you might want to have a custom tab here on the left-hand side that says Dropbox that will launch to the Dropbox tool. I mean, there's different ways you can showcase it in your class on how to get to those files, but that's just it. The collaborations are just sort of tools that have been integrated into the Canvas interface.
Okay, yeah, I think it's great. I was just thinking if I wanted to do something more complex, like putting a table graph with kind of thing, would you be able to do that on a collaborative document?
Right. Again, you can always use those external tools and sort of leverage those types of things to their capacity, just as long as you sort of incorporate those instructions and tell students kind of who to go, where to go, and how to get there, and things like that. So they have to be familiar with it that way.
Oh, great. Thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely. So we have another question, and the question is, how can you upload into ePad? So I don't think you can upload into Etherpad. So once you create your tutorial, I guess you might be able to import right there. So import, export, choose, and then upload. Does that answer your question, Karen? Again, in terms of which files to choose, I believe any type of Word or text type of content should be able to. Yes, exactly. You should be able to upload a Word. In fact, I'll try to upload a Word document right now. Upload, import, what happens. that's what happens. This is a you might format a little bit and things like that, but okay. Questions regarding collaborations? All right, next feature here is conferences. Is also something you can do course-wide, or you can do on a group-by-group basis. So if I click on conferences, kind of like a web, sort of we're doing now, you have the ability to do live lectures. You can host, you can turn your webcam and talk to your group, sort of webinars and things like that. The only thing you can't do with conferences, you can't record anything for archive. So you can put in presentations, you can do live lectures, you can showcase your desktop if you wanted to demonstrate something. There's a whiteboard, so you can go into that. So rather than so I'm going to show you kind of how to create a conference, and then rather than launching a conference, I'm going to show you a screenshot of one, because it might get a little overwhelming and might make things a little slower here. In order to create a new conference, just click New Conference. This button, by the way, is available for students. So if you click on conferences, they have the ability to add new conferences as well, so if they want to contact you for whatever reason. The name of the course, of a conference, so for example, ours. So use the third-party big blue button. You have the ability to determine kind of what time limit is for that conference, a little bit of a description. And you have the ability to decide who you want to invite, all course members or select course members if you want it to. Unfortunately, here there is no group functionality, so you can't create group conferences from this interface. So I invite all members and create conference. One thing that I've noticed, if you want to preload all of your conferences ahead of time, so you've designed your course and then you're going to have office hours on day the 5th, the following day the 12th, the following Monday the 18th, or 9th, that kind of stuff, you can do that. But remember, you've added all course members. If anyone draws or adds to your course, once you've created the conference, you hack there and add that person. So if Greg Brady came into my course 2 weeks after the course did, and I've already did all of my conferences, I still have to go in and add him because it won't automatically add new enrollment to those things. So then Greg will try to find the conference and won't be able to see it. Update. So when I created the conferences, they will be up here. Anything that has been concluded will come down here. And again, there are no recordings of that particular conferences. So let's see what it looks like once you launch a conference. Once a conference is kind of the interface, what you see here. All the participants that have come into your conference over here, and you can give the ability to give sort of control to any of the users that you see here. So you just have to select their name and click Switch to Presenter, and then they will have all of your control in terms of presenting capabilities. You see who is in listening mode, and you can mute and unmute specific participants. If anyone is using video, you will see their video here. So again, you have the ability to make this as big or as small as you want. So you'll see their video thumbnails in each of these boxes. I believe Canvas can host up to, or Big Blue Button can host up to 50 students at once. In the middle here, you have sort of a couple of options. The first one is you can upload a file. So by clicking Upload button here, I can upload my PowerPoint presentation, for example, and then click through the slides as I'm presenting. I can also upload a Word document, anything I want to sort of demonstrate. If I don't want to use the uploader, that's fine. I can click on this button here and use the whiteboard. So you do some assignments, maybe math problems, or do whatever I need to in order to create the particular learning lesson. Okay. You will see all of your students. So if I wanted to chat to the whole class, I could do so, or whoever's in this conference, I can chat clicking on the button here below and then just adding content to the chat window here. It's kind of like instant message. Or click on the plus sign. I'll be presented with a list of users in my class, my participants, and give them private messages just by clicking on their name and sending them a private message. Those are some of the things you can hear through the interface. I can also share my desktop. So if I click on this button here, it'll give me the opportunity to share my desktop. So if in the middle I want to show them what I'm doing on my computer, like I'm doing now, I could use that. I can also turn my webcam and so students can see it, and again, that will show up on their video doc down here. And then I can mute or unmute myself. Interface, but I think it really lends itself well for weekly conferences, weekly lectures, discussions, office hours, group discussions, things like that. Also keep in mind, these collaboration and conference tools are available at the course level, but they're also available at the group level. Remember, we talked about different groups and things. So, as students, if they want to collaborate on specific assignments or specific projects, they can do so from their group page. So I'm just those user groups. So for example, study groups. So study group A go into their group environment and create their own conferences and collaborate on their own projects together. And they're ready to submit them. They can submit them into in the assignments or whatever. So you don't necessarily have to do that for them. Make that within their own environment if they want to. On groups and collaborations. Up, please feel free to ask. Not come up now, but that's fine. All right, so we have a few more minutes here. We have about 20 more minutes. So the next thing I want to talk about is sort of the organization of your course, and then we'll go right into the gradebook and the speed grader and see kind of what you can do from that end. And then we'll probably have a little more time there for some Q&A. So we have now officially learned how to add content to your course, activities through your course, both graded and ungraded, from assignments, discussions, quizzes, collaborations, and conferences. So, let's talk about how to organize all this amazing stuff. So first to do is click on modules. Modules is a way that you can organize all of this content in a progression that makes sense to you. So for module 1, I may want students to read this page and then go to this discussion, and then this is this assignment, so this is an assignment, and then at the end take the quiz. So kind of the progression that I'd like them to go into. For example, now you can organize modules in a linear fashion. You can organize them by topics. You don't have to necessarily create modules that are like module 1, module 2, module 3. I've seen instructors create modules that are groupings of certain things like presentation module or case study modules or week 1 assignments, week 2 assignments, things like that. Because this type of organization, unlike the organization on assignments that you've created, the categories, this type of organization will be seen by the student. They'll see this type of structure. And so to create a new module, you would just click Create Module. For this demonstration, we'll just put Module 2 and Add Module. Any new module you create will automatically go to the bottom. You have the ability to move it anywhere you want. In the module, you have the ability to add content. So if we created a lot of content so far, so we'll add a sample assignment that we've created. We can created the hardest quiz ever. And what else can we add? We have uploaded files, so maybe we can add some files. We have added, what else? Pages. So we wanted that sample we've created. Discussion. So I'm just adding all the different activities that you've created over the. You could add a text header. So for example, you might want to say start or read the lessons first before doing the assignments. And if you've added these different areas, these content areas, you can move them around. So perhaps I want to have the page here first. You can indent them for visual clarity if you wanted to. You can add things that haven't been created. So remember how before we were talking about there are 3 places you can create assignments and content? Was from the calendar. One was from the assignment tab. Any place you can create is through the module. So for example, if I want to add a page and say created lesson 1.2, I get that. So I go ahead and move that lesson up. And so it's just a page that doesn't have content in it, it's just a page shell. But I can add content that doesn't exist yet, 1.3. So I just want students to kind of read all of these different pages first, read the lessons first, before they go ahead and start the assignment. You can also do that for other things, like I can also add an assignment that hasn't been created. So if I want to add a new assignment, I can do that. I can add a discussion that hasn't been created. So if it's not listed here, I can create a new topic. So I actually come to modules and build my course on the fly here if I wanted to. I could create sort of page shells, assignment shells, discussion shells, things like that. They go back and actually build the pages themselves and then put in the options for the assignments and stuff like that. I can also go ahead and add it's like the external URL if I wanted to. Like a link to a YouTube video, or I can add a link to a web page or things like that. So there's a lot of things I can actually do here in order to make this interactive. The second you put something in a module, you actually create sort of a progression. I have another question from Dr. Stephen Branson. Can I provide links for Twitter and Facebook? You can, absolutely, by just clicking Add Content, XRL, and then just put in your URL for Twitter. So what you're doing essentially here is when you click on a module, and anytime you put something in a module, you're creating sort of a progression. So you can see how the page is a standalone page. It's part of a module. So you'll see the previous and next buttons automatically apply because it's in a module. So I can then now go forward and go to the next page. I'm getting on this page, but then go to the next page. And I progress through the module accordingly. I'll see my assignment that I've created. Go to the quiz immediately. Get forward. I can see the file directly. So if I've uploaded a file rather than create to a file in a page, I can see the file PDF like within this window. So I can just go ahead and read through. If it decides to show up on me, if it loaded, the PDF would show up here, and I can scroll through and read the particular file, and then move on to the next part of my module. Participate in the discussion. Watch the YouTube video, which will show up right here through the interface, and then go to the Twitter page that should here through the interface. Sometimes it doesn't. I don't know why it's not loading here today. Then move on to the next module. So that's kind of the advantage of creating things in a module. You can create sort of preview previous and next tab that automatically occur. Another advantage to create modules is not just the way that you organize your class, but you can create sort of some release criteria associated with it. So for example, if I go in and click Edit, I don't unlock this module at next month when the next week starts. Okay, so I can sort of update and link a module. So as a student, I won't be able to access any of these links. thing I can say is, well, I don't care that when the module is locked or not, but I definitely want students to have completed Module 1 before they complete Module 2. So in other words, please make sure they complete this before you give them access to any of the content here. So you can create sort of a progression that way. If you create a prerequisite and say don't complete Module 2 or don't unlock Module 2 until Module 1 is completed, you have to go and tell Canvas, well, what does it take to complete Module 1? You have to give it some sort of instruction there. So you could have to go up to Module 1, click Edit, and add requirements. So in order for this module to be considered complete, I make sure that students view my content page. I want them to participate in a discussion, submit assignments, and complete the quiz. But not just submit the quiz, I score a minimum of 7 out of 10 in a module. I can require students to progress through a module in a sequential order if I feel that that's important in the module. So now you can see each module has module criteria right underneath it. Okay. You cannot progress forward into module number 2 until they've completed the requirements until module 1. So of course the benefit of making sure that this works or testing this out is you go to course settings, click on student view, on modules, you can see, okay, I've viewed this module. To the next one, I participate in this one, some comments, move next one. So take the quiz. Try to go module 2. It'll say, nope, you can't get there because module 1 has to be completed. You still haven't contributed to this page, submitted this assignment, or scored at least a 7. So stop me even if I wanted to move. So view. So again, one way you can organize your course is through modules. Another way you can organize your course is through the course navigation over here. So on settings, button called navigations, and I can determine which to keep. So maybe I don't want students accessing files or pages. I'm going to put all those files and pages in the order in a module. Same thing with assignments. I'm going to put all my assignments, discussions, and quizzes in my module, so I don't really need those pages to exist. I'll keep my collaborations and conferences. I can hide grades, but eventually students can always access their grades through this tab here. So this will never go away. It shows up everywhere. So it's up to you if you want to hide them or not. Again, I may want to just bring some. So you can click and drag which ones you hide, which ones you want to show. Just find when you hide something, it'll tell you what will happen. The page disabled, it will redirect to the course home page. Or grades, this page cannot be disabled. It's only hidden from view for the left-hand navigation. And the reason why this page is not disabled is because students can always access their grades from up here. So keep in mind when you're hiding and showing certain tabs, you can do that. You change the order around the way that these buttons show up on your page to save. So modify the left-hand navigation. Another thing you can do in order to modify the left-hand navigation is add what's called a redirect tab. Redirect tab under apps. Apps are your extensions to the course that enhance your course functionality. So these are additional plugins or additional applications you add to your course in order to make your course a little bit more dynamic. And there's a fun button here called Redirect. Redirect tool allows you to add a button to your left-hand navigation. So rather than maybe you want to put in your links here, so to Twitter or course, maybe Course Wiki or course resources, or you want to go directly to your department page or something like that. So click on the Add Tool, where's Twitter, course Twitter page, or for example. The code, put in the URL for that. I'm just going to regular. Please show this in the course navigation. The course navigation. And then you could click refresh. And if I click navigation, you'll see the course Twitter feed is here. And it'll URL you put to. So, I mean, I didn't put it to Twitter, but whatever URL you put to, it'll go to. So, save. And so now, the best thing to do is, how does my student see this course? Click on Student View, and you can hear the student will be able to see the home page, the announcements, all modules, which will have my assignments and everything in there, so I didn't need to have maybe other stuff here if I didn't want to. I can links to the Twitter feed, the course roster, and the collaborations and the conferences. So this is kind of how they would see the course. There's one more place you can organize your course content, and that's the home page layout. So you can choose the home page layout, and you have a couple of different options. The activity board, which is what you just saw, that's the layout. The page that you design yourself. Remember how each page shows up. Remember how I said every course has a front page? This is where it would redirect to. It would redirect to the front page. Course modules and sections, which is what we just done. So it would be the equivalent of making the front page be the module page. The assignment list would be the equivalent of making this assignment tab the home page. Or assignment with syllabus, which is the equivalent of making the syllabus tab the home page. And click Update Layout. I'm going to click Page I Designed Myself. Update Layout. Already asks the question, will linked apps appear in the main window or pop up as an external window? Good question. Depends on the app, but typically for redirect app that we used, if I click on it, it should open up the page right through the main window. So you're not actually opening up a new tab. But that's only if the website allows iframe. So if the website, there are some websites that you can link to that will allow iframing of their window, of their website, so it won't be able to show up. So it just depends on what you're linking to. Does that help, Jeremy, answer your question? Okay. So again, the home page, we created the layout that I created myself, which is the front page, essentially. So I'm going back to an earlier version of the front page. So we have what it would look like. Okay, so now we have sort of content to the course, add activities to the course, customize the navigation, customize the front page, and modified and customized the course content into modules. So at the very end of the day, if you really want to see what your students see, you would go into settings, you would click Studio, and you would actually go in and see, okay, what does the course experience look like for my students? And that sort of that. All right, so any questions? Because the last thing we're going to do is actually go into the grader and the grade book. And that's it. You're hanging there just perfectly. We have about 10 minutes left, so we're going to finish off with the most important part of your course, which is the grades, of course. Any more? Paula, I think that's a question you might want to ask Sean or follow up with Sean, whoever is the course admin, Canvas admin for your campus. He asked when will Canvas be available for us to roam around and practice. So I don't have the answer to that, but I know your campus instance is up and running, so it's just a matter of someone giving you sort of a sandbox or a course shell to play around with. So I would ask the people in charge there. All right, last thing we want to talk about is the gradebook. Access the gradebook in two places. Ask the question, under the observers, would that be department chairs? It really depends. The others could be, it depends on kind of your role. It could be guest instructors that come into the course. It could be department chairs that you invite. Any type of observer. And the observers basically have access to the course, but they don't have any ability to submit, participate in any of the course activities. They couldn't participate in the discussions or anything. They're just there to kind of see how the course is laid out. So again, it's up to the administrators. You may or may not be able to add observers to your course. Okay. Let's go into gradebook, there are two places, the grades button here or the grades button here that I showed you before. On the grades in the course, I will go right to the gradebook. And then I can see kind of who has submitted stuff. So this is submitted to a discussion post. Some assignments have already been graded. If any was submitted late, the cell would be in red. So you would really be able to see from this view which of the submissions are late and which ones were on. And so to grade any of these, you can just click on the particular assignment and kind of access and drill the assignment details. From the section, from the gradebook, you can basically see your entire roster. If you had multiple sections, you could change and view per section, or you can see all of your sections. Also view grading history. So who has, when have you submitted, when have you graded, when have you changed a grade, when have you updated a grade, things like that. You can download or upload your scores. You can group weights from the gradebook, by the way. You don't necessarily have to do this from the assignments page. So already created groups, assignment groups. You can see the group weight from this interface as well. How to names, columns by due date or arrange columns by assignment group. Which one you select is what students will see first. Treat graded as zeros. So at the end of the semester, you don't have to go in and put 0 on every single person that didn't submit. Show concluded enrollments. Kind of the general settings of the gradebook. Here's what you can see from a specific assignment point of view. In the particular assignment, that will take you to the assignment itself, assignment prompt. But, you can also look at, it's kind of hard, you have to hover over to make sure you see, but you can click on the drop down, you can see the assignment details. So for example, how many people submitted, what's the high and low score, and what's the overall grade distribution there. You can also go directly to the speed grader of that assignment and start grading. You can match students who submitted yet, haven't been graded, scores 10 or more than a specific score. And this is a way to keep students engaged and interactive. You can set a default grade or curved grades, or you can mute the assignment. Muting the assignment basically means you're able to grade all the assignments before releasing the scores, which is great. Go into an assignment and start grading. This assignment that I've created has a rubric associated with it. There were some assignments that I think we created a sample assignment, sample awesome assignment here. And that assignment did not have a grade rubric associated with it. So let's add a rubric. Click on adding a rubric. Just put sample rubric here. Multiple things here with the rubric. You can add a bunch of different criteria to the rubric. You can make these ratings as detailed as you want. And at any point you see this this pencil, you can edit the description, edit the point values, things like that of the particular rubric. So you can be as descriptive as you want to. You can delete a particular rubric score. I think what's really most important is if you, again, if you have created previous rubrics already in the course, you can find a rubric from your list of existing rubrics as well. But I think what's really important when it comes to rubrics is how is it going to impact your grading? The ability to use this rubric as a grading tool. Use this rubric as a sort of a structure on which you're going to write free-form comments. So you're not going to actually use the breakdown of the ratings, but you're going to use this particular criteria and then assign kind of apply value to it with a maximum 0.5. This rubric for assignment grading, and all that means, it can kind of get confusing, is if you click this, it means whatever you do in the grading rubric, whatever total point you give in the final rubric, it will automatically feed into the gradebook. That's all it means. If you do not use this rubric for assignment grading, it doesn't mean you can't leverage it in the speed grader when you're doing the assignment. It just means whatever final total you tally here using the rubric, it's not going to automatically populate the gradebook. You're going to have to at some point manually put that in. And then just create the rubric and then have the rubric kind of available to you here next to this assignment. In this particular case study that we've already created, I've already added a rubric. So now I want to grade the particular assignment. So again, I can go to the speed grader and go into and start grading, or in the grade book itself, if you know, I could just speed grader directly from here. The speed grader, this is kind of what the speed grader interface looks like. It tells me the list of my students here. It tells me I can go into the link of the gradebook if I wanted to. I can go to the course homepage. It tells me what the assignment is. Again, I can click on that and go directly to the assignment prompt if I need to go back and find out kind of what I was looking for. The due date for that assignment was. I can mute the assignment so that I can start grading everybody's assignments. If I don't mute the assignment, every time I add a grade to assignment, students will get a message saying the assignment has been graded. Of this speed grader for purposes of grading. So if I want to sort my student list by student name or date that they submitted, or I want to hide student names from the speed grader, I can do that. Then the way that the students show up and the order that this shows up is slightly different. See what time that the student submitted the assignment. If it was late, once again, under I'd see in red, I would see text that says this submission was late. I have the assignment original file because this was an uploaded file. I can download that file if I wanted to. Rubric that's attached to this assignment. So this particular student submitted this assignment. This was an online submission, and I was allowing file uploads so students could upload their Word document. And because it's a file, like a Word document, any type of Word document, Excel spreadsheet, or any rich content and PDF and things like that, you to leverage the Crocodoc function. And so the Crocodoc function just gives additional annotation and feedback features. So I can comment on the particular assignment, and I can draw on it, highlight text. As you can see, I already done some of that here. You can also download the assignment using this button too. So again, this just gives you an ability to be a little more thorough in your feedback. But I have some speed grader features. So I can view the rubric. Now, pay attention to the total point value here. This is the assignment that's worth 25 points. I'm going to leverage the rubric for grading, which means I'm just going to click on the areas just like that and click on the different things. And so now this rubric automatically tallies up the points. And click Save. It will update this. As this is updated, this grade is updated, it means this is the grade that's been published to the grade book. If I did not leverage this rubric for grading, this being blank, and at some, I would still have the grade here in the rubric, but at some point I can have to put in grade manually. So it really depends on if you're using the rubric as a guide or if you're really using the rubric for grading. In the rubric, I can always override any of this. So I can make this 1.5 if I wanted to. I can make this, 3 if I wanted to, something like that. And I also comment specifically on each criteria. So if I wanted to put a specific comment under word count, I can do that here. And date. Or I can also create conversation around the particular assignments. So if I wanted to put in comments to the student, sort of general comments, I can do that. I can attach a file. I can add a media comment. So if I wanted to do a video audio comment, I would launch that media comment that we were talking about earlier and submit that comment and send it to the student. So be the grading interface. This would look like. It was an assignment that was submitted via URL. The hashed image or the image would be here that at the time that the student submitted that URL is that I would see here. If I wanted them to submit a video, I would just be able to watch video here. And if I wanted them to submit text sort of in Canvas, they're not actually uploading a file, but they just wanted to write text submission, I would see that here as well. Those, of course, the Crocodoc feature functionality is not available. Some of the file uploads, they are available. That kind of concludes sort of how to navigate the gradebook and how to navigate the speed grader and how to leverage that for your grading. Does anybody have any questions? I have a question from Jimmy. Can rubric handle negative values? Say, take Negative off for spelling. -2. Yeah, that. From to 9. Questions. You've created, I believe, and I'm going to have to test this out, but that's a good question, Jennifer. Can you download the document with your Crockett notes? Once you've created these document notes here and then click download, it'll ask you, do you download the file or download the annotated PDF? So the answer to your question, Jennifer, yes, you have the option to download the document with notes. I know we've kind of come to the end of the session. I appreciate you all hanging around. I hope this was useful to you. I will send you the link to this training. I'll send you additional resources, and then I'll give you other information kind of that we went through, how to upload QTI files and sort of which browsers does Canvas support and things like that. If you have any other questions, you're always more than welcome to reach out to us. We will try to make sure to answer everything we can. Otherwise, I really appreciate you hanging in there. I hope you found this very, very useful and not so overwhelming. Have a wonderful afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much.